All right. Uh, Hello, everyone, and good evening. So this video is basically on request, where a lot of people are interested in some altcoins, and I take it as an exercise to chart those altcoins. At the moment, these are also some of those that have put some a very small amount of money in. Uh, I used to dabble in altcoins, but I don't do that regularly anymore. I'm more of a long-term holder. But this is guidance for somebody who wants to get started with technical analysis on altcoins, and this does not necessarily cover support analysis or tech or support resistance specifically. It covers other aspects, other forms of TA that are regularly associated with conventional TA, right? So I'll just get started with Ethereum, but before that, I'll just quickly discuss Bitcoin because it's kind of disrespectful and unfair to discuss altcoins before I have an opportunity to discuss what's going on with Bitcoin. So it's a bit of a no trade zone where you don't really do anything on Bitcoin. This breakout here was kind of not convincing. I'm waiting on a better retrace, in which case I'll have to invalidate this particular triangle. The symmetric triangle had a target of 9,000 on the upside. So I'm expecting a bounce at this support. And a validation of this ascending triangle. That certainly is a possibility. So there's a possibility of a triple top that I'm not ruling out. But there should be some action because of the fibs. These are plotted, and I'll show you how those are done after I'm done discussing the altcoins. So the first thing that I want to discuss is Ethereum. And also here's a disclaimer. Apart from the first like 5 or 6 altcoins, I really don't know anything about the rest. So I'm going to discuss ENG, Stellar Lumens, ICX, When, PPT, and PR. The last two specifically, I don't know anything about. The rest of the altcoins, I've heard something or the other. But yeah, before we go on with anything else, here's Ethereum. It's had a bit of a run, truth be told. Hasn't really seen a heavy retrace. This was a very good example of a heavy retrace. It was timed really well with the Bitcoin jump from 7,500 to 5,900. But short term, this is what I expect. So we've seen a bit of a fib retracement pattern going on with Ethereum, where there's been some accumulation after a downward move is finished in order to build the up move. So how do you go about charting up moves and down moves, right? So this is, for example, a support right here. And we've done this last time. We've identified supports and resistances. The problem with Ethereum, though, is that there's no historical context to the support and resistance. There's like very few levels that you can truly identify, right? And these are essentially blocks that don't hold very well. So these are essentially new, and there's nothing prior to this history that you can use, right? And this is the case with most altcoins. There's typically not enough history for you to go into a very deep analysis of what's going on and what might happen. Forgiving that, this right here is a decent enough pattern to trade off. And I've been experimenting with this for a very long time. But I've been watching a few videos of optimal trade entries and how they're supposed to be traded off of. And I believe this is a fairly good example of what you should be doing. So this is essentially a pattern where we are retracing the 60% to 70, 80% range of an up move, right? We're retracing 70% of it. So the price retraces 70% of the leg up. and this is typically what happens. You have a leg up, the price establishes, bounces off the resistance, continues down into the optimal trade entry. So the range for the optimal trade entry is typically the 61.8 to 78.6 region. Majority, like roughly half the time, the price bounces off the 70% range. This is an observation that a lot of other people have made in cryptocurrency and outwards. Typically, this is a pattern you see very regularly in Forex. Sometimes in stocks. I haven't really seen it on stocks in India. Probably people don't use it that well here. At this point, this particular bounce region is a very good zone to buy, with the target being let's assume for a moment that it does, in fact, reverse at this level and not the level above it. The first target is 0.11. The second target should be either the all-time high or beyond it, right? So those are the target levels that you can identify. They're fairly easy to plot. There's nothing very special about the fibs that I'm using. Here are the settings if you need to copy them, right? And this is what I expect. I'm expecting a move to an all-time high, and this should ideally be timed really well with a Bitcoin move upwards. Typically, that's what happens. Ethereum does follow Bitcoin significantly. There are, like, it depends on the kind of retrace we're having on Bitcoin. At the moment, though, there's no following that I'm seeing. Oops. If I was to compare Bitcoin and Ethereum, they don't look quite the same. And there's a reason for that. It's a completely different coin, has a completely different purpose, completely different history. So you're long here in this region. I'll just illustrate the trade itself, right? You're long at this region, should have a target of this 70.5 retrace upwards, with stop loss being the 100% retrace of the previous. So basically, you're targeting the 100% low for stop loss in order for a very, very safe 70% move up. And it's a 1.85, so it's not a bad trade. But you should start scaling out at this level. This is ideally also where the price tends to fail a little bit. You'll see significant resistance at this level. Should it break upwards, though, it'll probably keep going. So here's where the resistance will be, right? And you expect the price to fail a little bit here. If it does continue upward, then you're safe to go. So yeah, that's Ethereum. That's pretty much all I can say. I think I'll do a little bit of cloud analysis as well. And let's also check out TD in the meantime. The TD is not telling you especially anything at this point. There was a small bounce of the TDST here. After support was established, the support comes from the former resistance. So that's not entirely ruled out. On the early chart, you can find a lot of supports and resistances. So if you want to put scalping plays, Ethereum's the place to do it. I mean, of course, if you don't have the option of Bitcoin, why would you not have that? So short term, there was essentially some accumulation at this level. You had a significant failure from the previous TDST support right here, and found a lower support, and it's not continuing. It's going to continue upwards. 1 second. All right. Yeah, that's Ethereum. Just quickly fall to the cloud. That looks really good. If you had the chance to look at the cloud, right before it broke out, you had a TK cross bullish right here. Let's mark it this level, right? That was even before the cloud had broken up. So this TK cross happened here. And the moment the price broke above the the TK cross, and entered the cloud, there was a lot of room for you to start longing. Um, but at this point, it looks pretty bullish to me, on the 1 hour chart at least. On the 4 hour though, it's not terribly good. So there's a small room for it to go upwards. You would probably test the cloud here. There's a significant chance of it continuing horizontally for a while and then breaking above the Kumo cross, the Kumo twist at this level. Because the cloud is also flat, it's very likely to break upwards. Also, yeah, you cannot ignore the C clamp at this level. So C clamp is essentially where the baseline and the conversion line tend to come to equilibrium right at the red line, which is the baseline, right? So you're expecting a move upward in Ethereum anytime soon. Obviously, this is if you ignore the very clear accumulation pattern that's going on. This could just be at this level. So this is very clearly an ascending triangle. This can be validated with a bounce at this level, a retest of this support, and then a continuation upwards, right? So typically, this is how also you can trade this. If there's a breakout, you want to look for a retest of support, which it'll just go upwards a little bit and then retest it. With the target here, with the stop loss here being the previous low, which is because there's no new low established. And the target could be the 1.0.12 region, which is very close to the all-time high. And also that's a prediction from the fibs themselves, right? Could just be a little bit off there. But this is a decent rate, 3:1, not bad. So either you can catch the breakout or you can start longing the dips, in my opinion. Just wait for, and obviously have stop losses. It's very irresponsible to not have a stop loss, especially if you're trading on BitMEX. Right, so this is Ethereum for now. In all, I think I'm a little bullish on Ethereum at the moment, because there's a very nice cup handle formation that might happen. Like so. I'm terrible at drawing, I'm really sorry. So yeah, that's about it so far. That's Ethereum. What's next? Next is Litecoin. Litecoin is a bit of a personal favorite. I used to trade Litecoin before I had any knowledge of TA, and it was a bull market. So I was obviously, to myself, I was a bit of a genius. That was put in my paces a very long time ago. But Litecoin was there at a time where things did work out fairly well. And Litecoin was one of the most stable currencies, which it still is. So you have had a significant move upwards, and it has significantly retraced that as well. So you're not expecting a move to the downside anytime soon. There's no buying opportunity here, especially since it's consolidating in such a tight range. That's how much of a difference is that? It's a very small range, right? So there's not much to trade here. Should something drastic happen, I could come to revisit this. From a technical analysis point of view, there's nothing to buy, nothing to sell. Could there be something on the 1-day chart? Why is this locking? What just happened? Oh, okay. Yep, there's nothing on the daily that would suggest any kind of a move. This would have been a decent buy. And this was also very well timed with the Bitcoin bottom. This is what tends to happen basically with every altcoin. They tend to crash immediately when Bitcoin goes downwards. Any kind of movement in Bitcoin is not good for altcoins if you intend to trade them. There is a significant down move here. So could you have timed a short? And this is hindsight trading. It's probably going to be true. Take this with a cup of salt. Cup of salt. Spoon of salt. Pinch of salt. Yeah, so that was a very clear short entry. Right here would have been great if you could catch it. And what was the target for this trade? So if you had entered a short here, your first target would have been right here at this level. And then the second target would have been very near to the low for a short. At the moment, there's no long trade though. If you caught the bottom here somehow, I congratulate you, but it's very unlikely for you to catch a bottom at this level. But the price did stay low for like 1 day there. That's not especially useful. There's a small possibility of a trade here, I think. Very small one. Assuming that the price falls a little bit. You can expect a retrace to 0.0154 with a 70% retrace, and you can continue the move up, right? And this isn't really suggested by anything that the move down will continue. This seems like a very tight range consolidation for now. Something that I've seen in Litecoin specifically for a very long time. It's after all stable. This tends to happen significantly within its price action. Tight range consolidations before something actually happens. So yeah, that's basic technical analysis. Supports and resistances, right? So this is a very obvious resistance right here. A break above this level is bullish, where I'll continue to revisit it. I'll come back and see what it's doing. This is 0.0198. It's pretty high. And the support at this level is right here. It's not very difficult to miss, right? Very identifiable supports. And there's enough of a price history to tell you what's going on, since there's been a consolidation in this range for a very long time, pretty much forever. Right. Long term though, I can see a decent entry somewhere. Here at this level. This should be a decent buying opportunity for Litecoin. This range is 0.0087 to 0.011. Could be a long time away though, because Litecoin doesn't really fall or go up that fast, except for this time and this one. Tight range consolidations are the name of Litecoin, right? Is the name of Litecoin. I'm really sorry. English is not my first language. I try very hard. Is there anything on the weekly chart? Yeah, there's not enough data here. Right. We can try the cloud though on the daily chart. Possibly there's something to see. Flat cloud, yeah, that's kind of seconds the premise that the price should fall through the cloud because it's a flat cloud, completely flat. And there is a bearish TK cross soon enough on the daily chart on Litecoin. So this is a good opportunity to short maybe. But it depends. Are you okay with shorting and what kind of stop loss would you place? So if you had to place a stop loss, it would be at the high. This is a good place for a stop loss. So is this. If you want to short it, and the target should be the low here, the possible 70% retrace that I'm suggesting, this level, right? The cloud can be useful sometimes. It should not be disregarded entirely. What else? There's not much to see on the TD chart. This is a daily 7 though. You had a long opportunity here, but that's not very significant. You would have been stopped out at some point if you stayed in the trade though, because you could have taken a profit anywhere else. There could be some downside soon, so maybe in the next week you could see it touching that retracement level, right? And it could come to test the previous TDST support at 0.071, right? Which means that in theory, Litecoin could fall to half its value in Bitcoins and therefore in other currencies, right? So let's go to the next one now. Who's next? ETC, right? By the way, I'll just stop here for like 2 minutes, take some questions if other people have like anything to say. If somebody's asking me to chart Bitcoin Cash, I'll do that at the very, very end. Just on request, nothing else. Probably add it here. What coin am I up to? I've exited a lot of my coins. I'm currently holding a members call that I cannot disclose until I close it. I'm not supposed to. As a member, you're not supposed to share your calls because these are hard research calls that only members are privileged to. That's one. The other was BAT, where I had brought it 1522 and I sold it very high at somewhere around 5,000 range. Right. So yeah, cool. What's next? Ethereum Classic. Let's pick tricks for this. Okay. Just from a TA point of view, this looks like a decent. Let's try this. All right, so what are we seeing here? Oh, it looks like a failed retrace on the daily chart. But again, there's not enough of a history to go on it. Just typically means that it did not have enough traction. Keep in mind that Ethereum Classic is a hard fork of Ethereum. So a decent buying opportunity could show up in some time. It's not likely, as Ethereum is probably going to see significant consolidation on the lower levels. I've been watching Ethereum for a while. There was a ascending triangle here somewhere, right? There it is, where it had a small break to the downside and continued up for some reason. The thing is, Ethereum Classic, right? It's been making people wait for a very long time, and just specifically because of that reason, it may not see any upside. Because if people are waiting too long for something to happen, the asset tends to just consolidate forever. That's not a very good thing to do, is it? So yeah, there's nothing especially great about Ethereum Classic from a TA, from an FA point of view. Nothing that I know of, nothing that I'm following. There's no good trade that I can see right now. There could be some like a quadruple top here. Let's see how the candles look. Yeah, that's definitely a quadruple top. There could be one right here, which would suggest that there's some tight range consolidation or more of a down move coming, which would be strictly in the continuation form, because this is by no means bullish. It's not that I hate the coin, people. I'm just saying it's very unlikely to go anywhere. So this, oops. It's not even close to doing a full retrace. Not even close on the 4-hour chart. Let's identify some local supports and resistances. So on the higher time frames, right? This is an obvious resistance that's still holding. It's not gone anywhere. This right here is a support, right? This level was acting like a resistance for some time. So I'm assuming these resistances, now that they're broken, are also support. This support is too close, in my opinion. It won't last if Ethereum Classic, unless Ethereum Classic breaks this resistance right here. It's not bound to hold this level of support. This is another example of where the optimal trade entry plays a very small role. Same thing happening. Bounce of the 62% retrace. Move continues upwards. In which case, the target for this move would be well, it already breached the target. So I'm assuming that this level will act as a significant resistance because that is the continuation move. Short term, it's bullish. So because this level has been breached, the next target should be the high followed by the 127.2 extension. So probably wait for a retrace, I guess, if you're looking for a long-term entry, still continuing up. If it gets rejected here, that would not be ideal. That would break the flip pattern. Let's check the cloud, and then that's it. I don't think I need to do TD analysis. There's not enough momentum here to do TD on the daily chart. The cloud on the daily is bullish. There was an entry right here into the cloud. But again, the thing is about the cloud, right? The cloud itself never goes like the price action staying inside the cloud, that does not indicate momentum. When price action is inside the cloud, it's supposed to be sideways, right? The end-to-end trading concept is simply where you're trying to enter and exit out of the cloud, right? And because the tendency of price is to enter through the cloud and then most likely exit it, not get rejected off it. That's very, very that's an indicator of basically momentum, right? Where the price action could not go sideways. But in this case, it was significantly sideways. So it's been this way for the past. It's been from the cloud entry to the cloud exit. It's been 30 days. It's been a month. So a lot of people have been waiting for this exit. But keep in mind, though, that if your entry was somewhere here or somewhere in this region, you probably only just broken even. You've probably not had a profit yet. And this flat cloud here poses significant problems. That indicates that there's not enough buying momentum to keep going. By the way, I'm not doing any RSI analysis for now. I don't think it's necessary to use more than 3 indicators at a time. There's probably nothing to see on the TD. Either there was a 9 sell here, so this could be a resistance right at the top, right? Exactly where it's been for a very long time. So yeah, that's the pattern so far, continuation. I'll come back to this if necessary. The next altcoin is Omizgo, OMG. This was a pretty good buying opportunity. Again, the thing about trades is you'll most likely end up missing them. By the time you encounter a trade, it's probably already done. So you shouldn't really chase trades. The good thing about charting is that what has happened will happen again. So there's bound to be an up move and then a down move, right? So what would be the target for anybody that bought in this optimal trade entry? That would be, in the case of OMG, oops. The first target is still to be hit. It's pretty far, 0.016. So from a daily point of view, though, it's a decent buy. I'm assuming the daily momentum is pretty stable. Yeah, it looks good. So you can hypothetically enter a dip and then go for it. Omigo is enough of a currency. It's been stable for a long time. It's one of the most stable coins. This doesn't look especially promising. Um, I mean, in terms of cryptocurrency, though, it's pretty stable. That was not that was not good, right? 0.0000004. And this the high is 0017. That's a lot of volatility. On the in the long term scale, if you're expecting an up move, and it does look like it's bullish long term, and that's the entire of the crypto market, right? What are you expecting? You're expecting a retest of this level and then a move continuation upwards. So eventually, in the long term, and this I'm talking about the next few months potentially, and it's not likely to find this area of support again because shorter term it's looking bullish. Your target would be right here. It's not likely to find the support, like I said. Pretty far away from doing that. Right? On the 4-hour time frame, this level is support here, although it's pretty far. We can try to retrace this move, and there's not enough of a convincing top yet. I don't think I should do that. Let's try this. This was a short entry, or rather a take profit, because I don't think Omisco has a futures contract where you would be selling and expecting a low. The target for this low again would be this region, which was already hit. So the target has already been achieved for the short. Therefore, there's not enough of a compelling trade, at least from a support resistance fib point of view. Again, I think, in my opinion, it should retrace to this level once. It's been enough of a support. It's bounced just once. This could count as a second bounce since this was a very close high. The daily, I don't think there's much more daily cloud in this case. Check it out though. It's in the cloud, so that's sideways action. You're probably going to see a C clamp, which would suggest some downward movement. It has been a little downward for a while. You could go about drawing a channel here, right? A bit of a, could be a bull flag, but typically bull flags play out after the second bounce is done. So the third bounce is ideally supposed to break out of the bull flag. This is not a bull flag then. But if it was, hypothetically, what would your target be? So how do you measure the target of a bull flag? The size of the pole of the flag, right? That's from the previous move up to the high of the bull flag before the trend started going down prematurely, or rather, it started going down, suggesting a bull flag. Your target should be right here, right? So that was the first, second. This was a third bounce. You should have seen a move right here instead of here or here. So this does not look to be a bull flag to me. Should not be one. There could be some further consolidation in this region, which is not bad. But there's a C clamp on the daily, so it's probably pending a move downwards. Check out the 1 hour. I have a feeling you'll find some potentially rewarding trades at that level. So we're testing this high here. Right, with the potential to retrace to this level, in which case you can start plotting. And I'm not going to draw this again and again. It's fairly easy to start plotting targets for fibs once you understand them. Right. 21 viewers, that's not bad. We had a top of 28 last time. That was somewhere in the middle of pattern. Oh, by the way, this is a very obvious inverse head and shoulders. But again, I think it's appearing on all altcoins at this level. And as always, the target of a head and shoulders is plotted by simply using the size of the head for the size of the target, right? Where you're anticipating a price difference of 25% in the short term. This would it time with something? Let's see. Is there a resistance here? The significant resistance, like right before it though. Uh, yeah, that's one of the previous highs. It's within range of the previous highs. So this is the significant possibility. I think watch out for a high volume breakout. Should it occur? I'm not sure if Fomisco is doing anything at the moment. Let me check. If you want to look up specific currencies and if people are creating tags, you can see the ideas people have. And I'm obviously not the only one making those ideas, right? People are starting to notice the inverse head and shoulders. Yeah, there's no real news here. So possibly there could be something that leads to it to break out on the hourly time frame. There's nothing suggesting it on TA. From the higher time frames, it looks slightly bearish, right? It just went through the cloud, so that's a good signature. It's about to do a TK cross bullish on the 4 hour. And this usually is buy the breakout signature. This is a buy the breakout opportunity right here. But this is effectively buying the top. What I advise is wait for the retest of the breakout. It's fairly easy. It happens, and it's more reliable than just simply buying the breakout. And in the case of a failed breakout where you're not able to see volume and you essentially end up buying at a higher price and paying more fees, just wait for this to break out completely and then we'll see. But from a fib point of view, this measured move is probably headed up to test the highs right here, right? So this should be where it gets rejected, either this level or this level. And both of these have been, this one's not been, but this one has been a resistance level in the past. That's all about OMG. I don't think the TD will work on such a, it doesn't really work well on altcoins. Not always though. Yeah, it's a TD7 on the 4-hour chart. So in a couple of 4-hour candles, it should see some pullback, in which case you can start considering a buying opportunity. And this buying opportunity could occur, say it makes it to this TDSC support. That's a bit of a stretch though. Makes it at this level. That right here should be a long entry if you're considering buying either a down move or a 1 to 4 candle pullback on the 4-hour chart. So that's OMG. Lisk is next. Lisk again has been around for as long as I've been in crypto. It's a coin with good fundamentals, as far as I've heard. And I've heard from fairly reputed people, so I'm not distrusting their advice, but at the same time, I know nothing about the coin, so there's a disclaimer. From a fundamental perspective, I know nothing about it. But what is this run up? What is that run up? That's crazy. It's probably it's at an all-time high right now as we speak. So obviously it's not a good time to buy, but that's what you think. Depends on if CNBC goes on and chills it. Probably it'll go continue, keep going higher, buying the top, right? And then fall right back just like Ripple, which I'll come to in a few minutes. From a measured move perspective, there should have been a retest of this level. Sorry, a retest of this level, which never happened. So that simply means that the rally is still going on, and this is not a good opportunity to use any indicator to call a pullback or a target. If you wanted to call a conservative target, though, you'd have to use this area, then calculate from here, right? And come up with a target which has already been hit. So that was a very clear resistance. This was a clear support level, and it broke out from there. So at this point, there's no clear up target that's not been hit. I could try to extend the fibs even more, but that's really not the point. It's better to see a clear reversal and then try to plan the down move. So at least you know the top and you can start planning the down move, right? Typically, what you want to do is if you're trying to catch, rather not, that's the wrong language. I think it's better to start planning for a buying opportunity once the top is established, right? But that never happened in this case. It just keeps going up. The cloud is pretty much supporting on the daily. There's not been a retest of the cloud, so you can expect that at some level. This looks like a simple step pattern, and so this is a saying that I've heard a lot of times from people in 1x and outside, that staircase is up, elevator down, right? So there should be a very strong pullback at some point. This was a very good example. This wick was huge. Was it one buy or several? I'm not sure. Right. On the lower time frames, you're seeing some consolidation followed by a buying opportunity. So right here, and this works in chop too, as you can see. This was absolute choppiness. It should be discounted. It shouldn't really be used for research because this is a huge FOMO buy. There was some news that I recall, but what was it? I'm not sure. It's pretty bullish right now. I wouldn't advise you to bet against it either. Not sure you can short it or not. This is a resistance that is right about to break, right? It may or may not break it. Let's see. Yeah, there's not much of a pattern here. Sorry, guys. No trade on this risk. Ripple, finally. And I kind of have to pull up two charts for this. Yeah, Ripple seeing a bit of a pump. Let's check out the BTC chart first. There might have been some movement there. All right. This is the 4-hour Bittrex chart. There's some decent support actually. Don't know where it comes from though. There's nothing genuinely supporting the price here, except it was a former low, I think. So this cycle essentially is, this is just a market cycle. This could be a reversal point. It's possible. Though what I'm expecting is the repetition of this cycle instead. And then roughly sometime next year, this should see a continuation upwards. I mean, if I wanted to buy Ripple, right, for one moment, let's assume that I don't hate it. Where would I buy? I'd buy at this level. This right here, somewhere at the bottom end of that, certainly not at the top end. And that at the current BTC prices, that's about 50 cents, 50, 60 cents. But you've seen a decent bounce of the 618, right? No matter what, this validates the very concept the uses of fibs for planning trades, because you would have definitely caught this top, right, of the box. This was on the 4-hour chart. So, but this comes with a disclaimer again that I have never bought Ripple, and I don't intend to buy it anytime soon, because this is not looking good. It's still in the cloud. right? There's going to be a TK crush bullish, so there's a small possibility of a pullback and then a continuation through the cloud. Has it breached the cloud like this before? No, because it's been pretty bearish ever since pretty much this area. Oops. Right. And let's assume for a moment that this is a reversal. That's been about, yeah, that's about a month. I think it's the case with everything. Also, it's pretty hard to not see this inverse, a direct head and shoulders at this point. Retest, breakdown from support, high volume breakdown, right? So yeah, there could be a short trade here. There's a small possibility of that. So this support is held right here, right? But we need a complete top for this. Let's try something. Yeah, there's no good short trade. Never mind. This could be a short trade, right? Retracement, continuation downwards. But again, you shouldn't really short any cryptocurrency unless you're absolutely sure of what you're doing, unless it's a hedge, perhaps. Right. So that's about it for Ripple. There's nothing much to see here on Ripple BTC. There's probably a TD9 at the bottom on the 4-hour chart there because of this move down. Yeah, that's a pretty clear bottom. I don't know what this was, but yeah, that's a pretty clear bottom. This could be a run to 9 because it's already at a TD6. It's bound to continue upwards. But I wouldn't do anything here unless you see a TD9 at some point on the 4-hour chart. That would be a pretty good shot. The daily almost had a 9. In fact, it did have a 9 for a very short time, and then it broke out. That's pretty much the case with every other cryptocurrency. That's what happened with Bitcoin. So same thing, except there was a 9 on the daily chart here. This was essentially the top that was called within 1x. It was called loud and far. The call was to avoid buying Ripple. The call was to sell if you had any at this level, because there was a daily, a weekly, and a 4-hour top right here. Actually, this was a run to 13 on the 4-hour and beyond. This was 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, that's just invalidated the sell call though. It's been pretty much continuation now since then. It's a short the bounce opportunity on the 4-hour chart. All right. The next thing on the list is BAT, basic attention token, and this one's kind of a favorite. Just because this was the first alt I got into. I don't count Ethereum as an alt anymore. It shouldn't really be one. But this one has been very close to my heart, partially because the first time I bought it, September, June, right? I bought it right here. Yeah. Right. This was the lower end of that. Somewhere here, where I was really mad with my gains at this level. Then this happened, where I was expecting a pullback. It never came. I had to sell my BAT at the loss somewhere around this level. Right, where I was essentially trying to sell, trying to catch the tops and sell it. And the last time I got out of BAT completely was here. Right, then I bought some at this level. Pretty much the entirety of the way up when I was beginning to see signs of a reversal. At least at this point, I knew some TA, right? So that helped. But BAT has a bit of a history. It's one of the more fundamentally august coins that you would find. And if you wanted a buying opportunity, it's going to come soon. right? It's almost here, somewhere around the 50% retrace, or a little bit lower, probably the 61.2, where it's going to come, 61.8. That's probably a good buying opportunity. Um, the founder, by the way, of this coin is also the founder of Mozilla. Just give it a read. I'm not kidding. There's a possibility of a immediate move up here. There's a bull cross followed by a Kumo twist, followed by a flat cloud. So there's probably going to be a small move upwards to retest this resistance. It's pretty much a lot of resistance here. In fact, there's a lot of support that was broken in the past few days. Partially because Bitcoin is breaking down. So this is right here is the support at this level. Sorry, this is a resistance now. And then you have a few past resistances that are acting up right here, right? So between this and that, there's really no room for it to not grow. From a short-term perspective, this is a definite buy. From a long-term perspective, if you can hold back a little bit, basically it tends to fall really hard when Bitcoin is having a push, right? So this essentially, this period, starting here, and right there was the Bitcoin top, 12th of December. It's had a complete move down. So wherever Bitcoin starts to go down or consolidates, this is what that does, right? So if you're expecting a move up on Bitcoin, this would be a good time to start thinking about buying back. Typically, it rallies very, very cleanly, right? So at least you have a decent sell opportunity. And try to scale in your buys with this one. This tends to be a little volatile when it gets going. This was, for example, a good buy right here, right? And for now, it's in a downtrend. Unless there's a higher high, established above this level, you can't really seriously consider that it's an uptrend, which in the moment is the case with everything else. Are we seeing a breakout finally on Bitcoin? Is this sticking to the support, which is fairly common for Bitcoin? Is this a falling wedge? Seems to be on the lower time frames. It's a pennant, fine. So we'll wait as to how Bitcoin does. It's supposed to retrace a fair bit before I start buying. My last fiat buy-in was fairly low. It was around here, around the 8,000 level. But I'm expecting a move downwards, so I can start inserting a little bit more fiat. Right, so that's done. Next is Neo. Neo is a bit of a favorite now, especially with the intense shilling we've had within the group and outside. And I'm sure it has a use case, That's what everybody says. Looks like an inverse head and shoulders to me. So a good point to buy would be at this level, and the targets. Start framing them on your own, I guess. It starts to have started. It looks to have started its move down. This was a very heavy resistance for some reason. I think this was the 160 level or the 200 level in US dollars. I'm not sure. I do not have any Neo right now. I'm actually looking to buy some. This might be a good opportunity, but this run up was really crazy, right? So it'd be good for a few weeks. Probably it'll have a bit of a retrace. That's very healthy. Yeah, it needs a break downwards. That is an all-time high. It's not famous for having used retraces. This retrace, right, didn't really happen. From a cloud perspective, though, there's C-clamp pending. So like I said, it's due for a move downwards. The flat cloud on the daily chart. And the slow Kumo twist, also bearish. So I'm expecting a move downwards from Neo sometime soon in the Bitcoin value. Not much to be seen here, except a clear run to 9 and then a pullback. So Neo just became Neo futures available on BitMEX. If you want to trade those, I could open that chart, but I'm not inclined to right now. I don't feel like it because essentially it's going to be the same nearby. Okay, this is a resistance right here, a very clear one, and that level is a support. This level is a support. So essentially, this one. This two. That's a support. So if you want to consider buying seriously, think about those levels. And if you're currently holding it, I would advise selling. It's very near to the all-time high in terms of Bitcoin, right? You don't really want to be back holding all the way to the bottom just in case to buy more. Just double down, sell here, buy there. Simple. Buy low, sell high. That's how you do trading. It's not very difficult. So yeah, that was new. Next up, we have Enigma, ENG. I've been getting enough requests for this, and in part, I think, come on, guys, it just had a pump. Don't make me do this. But yeah, anybody that bought Enigma is now happy. My buy-in was at 35, then I got stopped out. I think I may have hit a very small limit order at 28. That is about it. It looks like it's had a 70% retrace though. Well, that's almost 100% retrace. Hang on. Yeah, by the way, this was a very clear head and shoulders. A huge head and shoulders that I believe was caught by the vast majority of our traders early on. And it's not how head and shoulders work, by the way. They're supposed to break down with considerable volume. This could be, so head and shoulders can also have continuation, right? But if you bought, you're probably happy. Yep. Again, same thing. Also, I'll do this favor to anybody that's holding Enigma. Here's a target for this buy-in and that inverse head and shoulders. If you had those, if you saw those on the lower time frames, your target should be 0.0046. That should be your first target. Anything beyond that should make you happy. The all-time high is very likely in this scenario, unless Bitcoin continues to move upwards out of this small box, 8,700. Right? It's pretty likely that Enigma will continue going upwards. So there's no buying opportunity here. It's more of a think about taking profits opportunity. So that was Enigma. I could just think about doing the cloud here. Support resistance kind of gives you the whole view. Yeah, it's pretty bullish. Screw you. Sorry for that. All right, there's a bullish tick across. There's a flat cloud right above, so it went right through that. It should be the case for every lower time frame because it was consolidating for a fairly long time. Pretty much on every time frame. And there's not enough data on the daily. So that was Enigma. The next one is Stellar Lumens, XLM. How long is the stream now? Damn, it's been, yeah, how long has it been? Anybody? Is anybody even watching? What? Yeah, it's been about an hour. All right. The next thing to do is to chart lumens. So lumens, again, it's a fork of Ripple. Is that right? It's a fork of Ripple. It's had a significant run up with some buying opportunities here, and I still consider this to be a buying opportunity because it has a huge pennant, right? That's pretty close to coming to fruition. Could just call this a symmetric triangle. It seems like because it's coming from an uptrend. Again, this is a very large pennant. It's above the cloud on the daily. There's supposed to be a C clamp here, so it should just break down. In fact, it looks a little bit like Bitcoin. The third high here. Let me just show you an example. Yeah, do you see it? First top, second top, third top. The third top is higher. First top, second top, third top. Third top is higher. What follows is history, right? This is a this is currently a buying zone for Bitcoin, just by the way. Shameless shilling. Yep. Right. So if you're looking to buy seller lumens, it's now not definitely not a good time. But could think about buying at these levels when there's some pain in the market. There doesn't seem to be any in the alt market right now. On the lower time frames, does seem lower highs and lower lows. So yeah, there you have it. It's some bearish continuation. Not terribly bearish, but in the meantime, right? So this should be a decent buying zone. Scaling your buys from 40 is 3113 to 2368. The next is ICX. So there was some former support here that's just broken down. There is some more support at this level where there was some consolidation previously. Suppose actually a bit lower than that, somewhere here. And the next support is all the way here. So I think this is a good time to wait on ICX. Maybe just buy here when it goes down significantly. In fact, nearly all of those coins are Bitcoin inverse, which means that their price action negatively follows Bitcoin. And the behavior of some of these also suggesting there's a down move on alts and an up move on Bitcoin. But I guess that's already what's happened, right? There's been a significant bounce on Bitcoin. That's probably why the price on altcoins is going to go down even further. Yeah, there's not much to see on ICX. On the lower time frames, you had a very similar configuration to, I think that was Lisk or a Misk, I'm not sure. Consolidation within a small range, then a breakout at lower volume. Oh, this was ETC, right? And now you're having a bit of a pullback. There's about to be a small bearish cross on the RD cloud on ICX. There's a dip coming, definitely. If you wanted to time a trade, I don't see one, right? I don't see a buying opportunity apart from the ones I've outlisted. There is some scope for, should this be a trend reversal from bearish to bullish, you should see a buying opportunity at this level instead of this level. Right? So this box, assuming that there's consolidation and not complete dumps, should essentially form a new support at this level. Yeah, that was ICX. Next is Wen. Wen's been a favorite of people on Twitter, right? Also looks like a bubble pop chart, by the way. Not teasing, not kidding. It does look like a bubble pop chart. Okay, let's try this. This was one support. What else? This, I think, can be considered a support, right? And we're seeing a bit of downwards momentum here, continuation, with the target. I don't know why this is happening. Hang on. I'm not able to scale properly. Price, right? Okay, cool. Thank God, this is so much easier now. Okay. Right here is a selling and buyback target. Right, so we're expecting a pullback to the support level right here, and then a continuation somewhere. Definitely not upwards at this point. This is a clear bearish trend on the 4-hour cloud as well as the 1-day cloud. I don't think there's a 1-day cloud though. The 4-hour cloud is definitely bearish. So the RD could give you some respite. There's a flat cloud, so that might see a through and through play, but that already happened. So you'll probably see a Como twist and the price consolidating in this level right here before continuing downwards. Some probability of that. Doesn't look too good for ICX. Right. The next coin is PPT. Now this one I know nothing about. I don't even know if it exists. Populous, okay. Yes, rings a bell. Not too entertaining. Okay. Low highs, low lows, it's bearish. There's been immense volume spikes. I don't think I should be charting this. The down move can't now be measured here because there's been a bit of a reversal. So if you want to buy ICX, sorry, PPT, right, what level should you be looking for? So there should be a bounce to this level here. It's a fair possibility. If you have any, you should be able to sell at this level. Because this will be a 70% retrace of the previous move. So try to sell as soon as possible. Around a 50% retrace is also a good point. And then there should be some continuation downwards. A trend that is in action stays in action until something that has to change the trend happens, right? So this is definitely a bearish trend. I don't think there's much to see here from a TA perspective. There's a TD7 on the day on the 4-hour chart. That could give you a TD9. There's a TD8, which is surprising, on the daily chart. So tomorrow and day after should be fairly interesting for Populous. There should be a buying opportunity tomorrow according to TD. That could go as low as this level, and then you can buy at this level, right? Yeah, that's Populous. If I was to try to chart this, because these are just wicks, I'm not supposed to use those. Right here is a buying opportunity, a pretty big of a buying opportunity, but you would have been stopped out of it because we broke through this level. This is ideally a stop loss for it, right? So yeah, that's PPT. We have again a coin I don't know anything about. It's not on TradingView. I'm sorry, whoever called it. BCH is the last one. I'm going to use, what should I use for this, man? Everything has been manipulated. Let's try Bitfinex. What was this? Jeez. If at all, this looks like a shorting opportunity. And that is not my bias speaking. Yep. That's a definite shorting opportunity where you're having a certain high or low. You're waiting for a retracement to this level. Then you short it, right? It's already bouncing, by the way, towards the downside. This was the daily chart. I'm expecting there's a top on the 4-hour. Yep, that's a very clear top. So it's already bounced. It's on its way down. Don't expect too much of it. It's likely to find a higher support. Where, you ask? Right here. Right, this could be a place where it bounces on the short term. And you can start longing it in order for a target if it does continue to that fib from before, right here, and okay, let's redraw that fib, right? That coincides with a few targets. So buy here and sell here, right? Keep in mind though that this red target is a daily target and this buy target is a 4-hour target. So there's a very high possibility that it doesn't stop here. If it's going to go down, it's going to continue down. So yeah, that was BCH. I'll just try to draw some clouds on here. Not sure what they'll say. There was an end-to-end trade, nothing special. The TK bullish cross happened too late for anything to happen. Actually, there's never been a cross yet. This hasn't been a cross yet. The lines are intersecting, which means the price is at equilibrium. And the price tends to go out of equilibrium pretty much anytime any kind of volume shows up. So if there's a lot of selling volume, it could just go down. There's no clear momentum, though it just broke out of the cloud. So you could see a comatose here, which you're going to see in a few, I think, couple of days, maybe less, and continue the momentum downwards, right? So this, by the way, buying level is intersecting with this fib right here, the bottom of the cloud, in fact. So that's Bitcoin Cash. And that brings me to the end of my list. It's been, how many alts have I done? This is, BTC isn't an alt, so I'm not going to count it on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 alts, except PRL, so that's 14. 14 alts one day. Yeah, that's about it. That's what I think. You're free to leave your comments, and I highly recommend you join the 1x Discord group, where you have a lot of interesting discussions. We continuously discuss technical analysis. I'm pretty much there for my entire day. So yeah, that's about it for now. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.